Marriage is a lot like fingerprints, each one different and each one beautiful. Maggie Race said that so perfectly. Webster's dictionary defines marriage as a legally or formally recognized union between two people in a partnership in a personal relationship. So the question is, what makes marriage so different today than when it was in the 1950s? We all want to love and be loved, right? So why do stories of our grandparents when they met, why do they sound so different from, say, my best friend's marriage and her stories in the present day? We're going to talk deeper in that and talk about the differences and changes. I am currently single, so this topic fascinates me. Who knows, maybe it can help me find a man. I'm just kidding. So now we're going to talk about how marriages have changed, specifically in culture, and how it has changed in just our gender roles. So first let's talk about how marriage has changed culturally. So our culture is different now. From Elvis to dubstep to a rotary phone, now to an iPhone. Our music and the way that we also communicate with one another has changed so much. So let's talk about music for a minute. I'm a huge fan of music. So in the 1950s, when you wanted to listen to something, you'd pop in one of these bad boys, right? It would look something like this. You would take your record and you would listen to a song. In 1956, Elvis wrote a song called Love Me Tender. Some of the words go like this. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfilled. For darling, I love you, and I always will. Let's fast forward to a song written in 2010, sung by Dierks Bentley. Some of the lyrics go like this. It's called Got a Lot of Leaving Left to Do. If you think I'm gonna settle down, I have news for you. I still got a lot of leaving left to do. So wow, what a difference in the lyrics. Elvis talked about forever, loving somebody long term, I'll always love you. Dierks Bentley talked more about how I still have a lot of leaving to do. I just want short term. I'm not ready for that commitment. I'm not ready to settle down. So that is just one of the many differences in some of our music of today and the culture there. So another way culture has changed is how we communicate with one another. So back in the day, in the 50s, people would communicate through letters, through love letters. We didn't have an iPhone, we didn't have FaceTime, where that was that instant communication. So couples would sit down, especially if they weren't around each other or they were far off somewhere. They would write letters to each other, and so the communication was a whole lot slower. Nowadays, communication is so much more fast-paced, right? We can call our spouse right then and there. We can see them face to face. So communication, the pace is so much different. So that is just a couple of ways, just a few, that, marriage has changed from the 50s to now, culturally. So now we're going to talk about how marriage has changed in gender roles, specifically how it's changed with men and then how it's changed with women. So with men in the 1950s, they weren't physically as present in their home. They worked tirelessly. The World War II ended in 1945. After that, men worked hard until night. They didn't come home sometimes till dinner or after then. And so men weren't around as much in the home. So that is one thing that has changed. Nowadays, men are able to take off for the birth of their child a lot of times. They're able to be with their wife more and their growing family. Also, it's changed for women as well. In the 1950s, there's an article called a glimpse into marriage in the 1950s. Margarita Tartakovsky writes, "The marriage prescriptions of the 1950s could be summed up in one sentence. It was mainly a woman's job to foster a happy marriage." So it was the job of a woman in the 50s to maintain the household, to be home with their family. And now that women or men are more present in the home, women are able to have nowadays careers. They're able to be outside the home more. So those are just some of the differences. So I hope that you have learned a lot today in how just marriage has changed. I know that I have. I know we can learn from the past. We can learn from the present, and it'll help us in the future. So I hope this has been informative and that you guys have a wonderful day.